Good evening and welcome to the February 26, 2026 regular meeting of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chad Brown. I serve as chairman of the board as well as a commissioner from Riverbend Township. I would like to welcome our viewers and thank Spectrum Cable and AT&T for making it possible for our citizens. For our television audience and live streaming audience, I would like to present your Gaston County Commission beginning on my far right.
Good evening, Scott Sheehan, Gastonia Township.
Jim Bailey, South Point Township.
Good evening, Kathy Coniger, Dallas Township.
Welcome tonight, Bob Hovis, Crowders Mountain Township.
Good evening, Tom Keegan.
At this time, if you'll please stand for the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Commissioner Bailey tonight, and the invocation will be given, Mr. Bob, if you'd like to introduce your pastor.
Reverend Tripp Horde with First United Methodist Church, my church, is here to grace us with his invocation.
Thank you, Chairman Brown, Vice Chair Hovis, County Manager, County Clerk, County Attorney, and members of the boards. It's a pleasure and honor to be here tonight and to share a prayer with you before we get started. Let us pray. God, as we all come together in community this evening, thank you for each person here tonight. We thank you for all those who serve this great county, workers, volunteers, all those. We just ask that you give them your continued safety and blessings. God, you've called these men and women who represent this great county and are faced with making decisions that are best for us all. We ask that you give them the wisdom, the peace, patience, and your divine guidance as they discuss the items before them. Throughout tonight's meeting, may we all be attentive to your voice amid our conversations and the business at hand. And if we encounter challenges or confusion, may we turn to you, knowing that you are the ultimate source of truth and clarity. God, we come before you knowing we are not perfect and that we all have different perspectives and opinions. We ask that you unite us and to listen to one another with open hearts and minds. God, remind us of your great love and grace and to always be faithful to our service to you. Give us the peace and understanding to face challenges with grace. We ask all these names in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the board, I'm going to take a 2-minute recess, if you don't mind, right quick. First item on the agenda tonight is presentations tonight, the FY 24-25 Gaston County Audit. Ms. Kelly Gotterman, Martin Starnes and Associates CPAs PA will be presenting tonight. Mrs. Gooderman.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So my name is Kelly Gooderham. I'm the Senior Audit Manager for the county's fiscal year 25 audit. We've prepared the following PowerPoint to present what we feel to be some of the more pertinent topics of the county's audit. We've issued a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that we can provide. It also just means that we found nothing materially misleading in your financial statements to the average reader. So this first slide just shows you your final budget and your actual amounts for your revenues and your expenditures for the general fund. Obviously, your final budget should be in balance, so I just wanted to point out that these are just revenues and expenditures, which is why those two amounts differ slightly. So overall revenues were over budget by $9.5 million. Combined expenditures were under budget by roughly $29.6 million. Basically, what that means is you budgeted more revenues, which is good, and you budgeted less revenues than were actually expended. Major drivers for revenues were property taxes, as well as other taxes and licenses, and restricted intergovernmental revenues. And then major drivers for expenditures were public safety and human services. So this slide shows you your available fund balance as defined by the LGC. This is your general fund available fund balance. So we start with your total fund balance of $154 million, less your non-spendables, which includes prepaids and inventory, less your stabilization by state statute, to arrive at a total available fund balance of a little less than $124 million, which was an overall increase of roughly $8.4 million over the prior year. So then we take that available fund balance and turn it into a percentage of expenditures. So as you can see, there's been a steady increase over the last several years. Overall increase for this year was just shy of 2%. The top percentages just shows you the state average for counties with populations over 100,000, which Gaston County is in that bucket. So you're still increasing steadily over the last couple of years. This is an informational slide. This is the 5 classifications of fund balance as defined by GASB. So your non-spendables, which are basically not in cash form, your restricted, which is external restrictions, your committed fund balance, which is an internal constraint, and your assigned fund balance, which is also an internal constraint, however lesser than your committed, to arrive at your unassigned fund balance, which has no internal or external restraints. So putting numbers to those classifications, your general fund classifications, fund balance classifications, we already went over the total fund balance, non-spendable and restricted by stabilization by state statute. Your restricted all other includes Medicaid maximization, general government, building inspections, Spencer Mountain Reserve, and Register of Deeds. And then your assigned fund balance of $12.6 million includes insurance reserves, subsequent year's expenditures, and then Gaston County tap fees. All of that taken into account, total unassigned fund balance is $82.5 million, which was an overall increase of roughly $19.1 million. I did want to note that your policy for unassigned fund balance, the threshold was 50%, which was actually met the first time this year. So there will be a transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund as a result of this, and that is on the agenda for tonight's meeting. This slide shows your unassigned fund balance as a percentage of your total fund balance. So again, steadily increasing and ended at 53% over the prior year, or 53% as of the current year. Now we'll go through your top 3 general fund revenues and expenditures. Your top 3 revenues is comprised of roughly $308 million, or 87% of total revenues. We'll go into more detail on those top 3. First is your property taxes. Property taxes is 59% of your total general fund revenues, and they exceeded budget by roughly $8.5 million over in the current year. Other taxes and licenses, which are 15% of total revenues within the general fund, and were under budget by $52,000 in the current year. And then restricted intergovernmental revenues, which is 13% of total general fund revenues, and they were under budget by $376,000. Now your top 3 general fund expenditures. Your top 3 comprise of roughly $245 million, or 78% of total expenditures within your general fund. So first we have your public safety, which is 33% of total expenditures, and we're under budget by $4.4 million. Human services, which is 26% of your total expenditures, we're under budget by roughly $15 million. And then education, which is 19% of total expenditures, which was under budget by just shy of $3,000. Switching over to your enterprise fund, your solid waste fund, operating revenues ended at $15.7 million, which was an overall increase of $1.2 million, or 8.5%. mainly due to an increase in your charges for services. Operating income increased around $906,000 or 37%, which was primarily due to the noted increase in your revenues. And then lastly is your performance indicators. So along with the audit report, we are required to also submit a data input report to the LGC, which takes information from your audit report and the audit itself, and just comprises all of this information into one report that's uploaded to the logo system. We are required to report any financial performance indicators of concern. I'm happy to say that Gaston County does not have any to report, which is a good thing. No findings, nothing of concerning value that the LGC is looking at. So only good news. We noted a stable property tax valuation and collection percentage, and then consistent available fund balance percentage. And that is all I have, if anybody has any questions.
Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the LGC had any concerns, questions, observations, do they communicate that directly to us or through you, or how does that take place?
Well, that's the kind of the whole intent of the data input report. So in years past, it used to be a data input sheet, and it used to just be a worksheet that similar information, but it just got uploaded, and I'm sure that it was compiled into various information and all of that. Well, now that it's a little bit more automated and within the logo system, I think the LGC is monitoring it a bit more closely, as they are able to monitor it a bit more closely since it's more automated. And that's really the way that they communicate, both with, if it had occurred, Gaston County, and with us. And so if there's, even this year, because the whole logos thing was new this year, even this year, they're able to catch errors, and so we correct those errors, or we clarify if it's not actually an error. But the financial performance indicators of concern, those are the ones that, and we communicate that to each board that we audit and present to. So that is essentially how.
So it would come between both of y'all?
Yes, sir.
Correct? That's what I was asking. Thank you.
So I just wanted to mention that we need to try to back that up a little bit and try to reduce some of the charges for services, and that's going to mean making cuts in the government, and I'll just leave it at that.
Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Tom, that's a good observation, but I think she was speaking that there was an increase, and she can correct me if I'm wrong in my observation, that increase versus what was budgeted.
Yes.
So that doesn't mean there was an increase in terms of what we were.
But her words right out of her mouth were, the increase came from additional charges for services. That's what she said.
Additional
A
volume of
portion, yeah, a
services.
portion of your, what I was actually trying to get at was a good portion of your revenues in overall revenues is property taxes, which is standard for any county or municipality. That is the major driver that you all use to pay for your government services that you do provide. So property taxes have, in collections, have increased across the board for the state of North Carolina, whether you've raised your tax rate, not raised your tax rate, decreased your tax rate. I mean, valuations have just, they've skyrocketed, even in Catawba County where I live. But the fact that, no, what I was trying to get at on that slide was that one of your major components of revenue for the general fund is your property taxes.
Why don't we do
That's all.
this, why don't we just review it anyway, and just have the manager look at a review of just anything we're doing in fees, and that way we can kind of look it over while we're looking through this thing with the budget coming up. Is that okay with you, Mr. Keeter?
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just rubbing me the wrong way when I start thinking about, we're talking about parking, the charges for parking at our parks and things like that. We have the parking ordinance on the agenda tonight to approve. I think it's other matters, non-consent agenda. That thing's 4 or 5 pages long. I don't think law enforcement's gonna be able to understand everything that the citizens are gonna have to do. We're creating so much more government all the time. I just think it's time to just slow it down a little. I'm done.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Bailey?
It's just more of a statement that I guess follows up with Commissioner Keeter. You know, you're looking at your actual budget, and I'm guessing my estimate's about right, that went under budget by almost $37 million. Correct? For the final budget and then the actual budget.
Are you speaking to revenues
The
or?
general fund summary. Because you said the actual was $352 million for revenues, and the expenditures was $315 million. So, I mean, yeah,
Well, but you really have to take those two buckets differently. Like, you have your revenues, which were, over budget by roughly 9.5 million. And then your expenditures, you budgeted for an exorbitant amount more than what you actually expended, roughly $30 million. So you had a $30 million surplus that you planned for that you did not actually spend.
right.
Does that answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But, you know, you look at that, and I think that ties together that, I mean, the county offices and the heads have actually been saving us money, correct?
I mean, it would appear as such, yes.
So why can't we pass some of that back on to the taxpayers?
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public hearings. The commission will now take citizens' comments on 6 public hearings. Comments will be taken on the following issues: conditional district REZ-230, conditional district REZ-241, EDC to amend incentive grant and 2-year CIP incentive grant for Project DeLorean, EDC incentive grant for Project Explorer, EDC incentive grant for Project Helms Deep, and EDC incentive grant for conveyance of land to Project Tech. Before we begin, let me outline the rules and procedures in hearings. Citizens wishing to make comment will be recognized by the chair and requested to step to the microphone for their citizens' comments. Citizens' comments will be taken. They will state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited tonight to 3 minutes. All questions shall be directed to the chair for response. The chair shall rule on all points of order. Do I hear a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor? We are now in public hearing. The Gaston County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing. Conditional District REZ-230, Jason Cagle is the applicant. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Planner 2, Building and Development Service, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-25-06-09-00230 is a conditional rezoning request from Jason Cagle for PID 182805 on Hickory Grove Road in Gastonia. The applicant is requesting to rezone the 1.99 acre parcel from the R1 Single Family Limited with US and CH overlays to the CDC3 with US and CH overlays. Jason Cagle is serving as the applicant and is the property owner. The subject parcel is north of Belmont and McAdenville city limits, just west of Mount Holly. Currently, the site is vacant and wooded. Surrounding properties consist mainly of single-family homes with commercial businesses further south. As for the environmental map, it shows the site is mostly flat and there is no flood on the property. The subject property is within a large pocket of the R1 zoning district. However, there is C3 south of the subject property along both sides of Hickory Grove Road. This slide shows those who was notified for tonight's public hearing. Notices were mailed on February 11th and a sign was placed on site the same day. Per the UDO, we mail notices to every property owner within a 200-foot buffer, which follows the UDO's public hearing requirements for conditional rezoning requests. So far, we have not received any calls or inquiries about this request. And this slide shows the information for those who were notified. So like with all conditional rezonings, here's the associated site plan. The applicant is proposing a conceptual site plan with this request. As shown in pink, the development is limited to that identified area and is proposed for a contractor's office. The applicant has further narrowed down the permitted uses to a contractor's office such as plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or general contracting, or alternatively, a dance studio or hair salon. Any approved uses would be required to comply with all applicable supplemental regulations at the time of permitting. The applicant has identified the rear portion of the property as a potential Phase 2 development area. If the development is proposed in the future for a portion of the site, a separate rezoning application would be required at that time, and at this time, the rear property will remain undisturbed. Other features on the site plan include buffering requirements. Section 11.3.2 states that when a commercial district abuts a residential district, a Type D screening must be provided on the commercial lot. The applicants are complying with all buffer lot requirements by installing a Type D option 1 buffer. We also looked at the C3 general commercial zoning district description as well as both overlay districts. And this slide shows the CH overlay description, and all of these definitions were included in your staff packet. The site, if approved, will be served by a private well and septic system, and as for roads, the property has frontage along Hickory Grove Road, which is NCDOT owned and maintained. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this project on September 15th and provided the following comments. Natural Resources commented that if 1 acre or more of land is to be disturbed for this project, a full sedimentation and erosion control plan, as well as post-construction stormwater plan, would need to be submitted to Natural Resources for review. As a result, the applicant has agreed to limit his development area to less than 1 acre, and this is included as a condition of approval for this request. Environmental Health stated the applicants would need to apply for a septic system permit and well permit for the contractor's office. The GCL MPO provided their standard letter, which is included in your staff packet. It stated there are no funded transportation improvement projects in the immediate vicinity according to the DOT's STIP. The CTP and MTP shows bicycle and sidewalk facilities along Hickory Grove Road, but both of these are unfunded at this time. As for public input, this case has been added to the planning and zoning current pages on engagegaston.com. As of earlier this afternoon, there have been no questions or concerns posted on the webpage. So for this request, staff's recommending 3 conditions of approval. For the record, they are: the site shall be limited to the uses specifically identified on the approved site plan. These uses shall be permitted provided all applicable supplemental regulations are met. The contractor's office use shall be limited to the area identified in pink on the approved site plan. Disturbance associated with this use shall not exceed 1 acre. And a photometric plan shall be submitted to and approved by the Planning and Zoning Department at the time of permitting. So as for the comprehensive land use plan, the subject parcels are within Area 3, Riverfront Gaston, Northeast Gaston Small Area Plan. The comp plan identifies this property under the Suburban Development Future Land Use Designation. Suburban development consists of significant single-family residential areas that exist around commercial pockets representing a standard suburban center. Staff finds this application as presented consistent with the goals and Suburban Development Future Land Use Designation, as it will allow for the commercial purpose to serve immediate neighborhood needs. The Planning and Zoning Board heard this request for the first time at its November 17th meeting and voted to continue the case due to concerns related to the initial range of proposed uses, the level of detail provided on the site plan, erosion control measures, and the proposed mini warehouse use. Since then, the applicant resubmitted a revised site plan and removed the mini warehouse use entirely and addressed the remaining Planning and Zoning Board's concerns. The revised site plan is what was presented to you earlier. This request went back before the Planning and Zoning Board on February 9th with all the comments addressed, and the board recommended approval unanimously by 11-0 vote. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation, and the applicant is here to answer any questions y'all may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments at this time wishing to be said by the applicant? Any citizens wishing to comment on this matter at this time? Please step to the podium, sir.
Hello, my name is Sean Baxter. I'm at 2207 Gatwick Circle. I did have one question. So there's 2 phases of this development. For the second phase, is it true that that will remain residential, and then if that's decided to be developed at a later time, it'll have to go through a rezoning process? Is that?
Yeah, so the whole parcel is requesting to be rezoned right now, but the back portion can't get any permits or anything like that unless it would go back through the rezoning process.
Okay.
So it's gonna remain as is right now.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Peyton, if you don't mind, will you please come back and just state what you just said so everybody can hear?
Yes, so the back portion right now is included in this initial rezoning request. So the whole parcel would be rezoned C3 CD if approved. Any permits or anything like that that were to be pulled right now would not be allowed to be issued until they would go back through the rezoning or process at a later date.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to comment? Yes, sir, please step to the podium.
My name's Michael Robinson. I live at 2205 Gatwick Circle. And listening to the presentation, it came up that the property was flat. Well, that's not exactly the way it is. It's got a slope. And when it rains, like today, it's rained, there's a significant runoff from that property through Sean's property and also to mine to a drainage facility in our neighborhood. So I just wanted to make sure if you're going to develop it, and you did say it would be addressed, erosion and all that good stuff. So as long as that, wanted to make sure that that particular part of the project didn't cause any more runoff, especially if they have a lot of pavement or going on in that, on that property, it'll cause significant more runoff and affect our properties. I just wanted to make sure that was addressed perfectly. You got it? You understand what I'm saying?
You can address those
Okay.
to me, sir, thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, just want to make sure that way everybody can hear you.
I'm new to this process.
You're fine.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to comment on it this time? Seeing any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Mr. Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Will this area be serviced by municipal water and/or sewer, or is it septic?
It will be well and septic.
Has it already been perk tested?
Not that, oh, it has.
Just want to make sure.
Any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? Are there any additional comments that wish to be declared? I will declare the public hearing closed. The chairman is to state that just to recap, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval by a vote of 11-0, finding it reasonable in the public interest and consistent with the goals of the comp plan. Do I hear a motion to accept the Planning Board's zoning board's recommendation? That's a motion by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All approve? All denied. Is it unanimous, Madam Clerk? The next item is Gaston County Commission will take citizens' comments on public hearing, conditional district REZ-241, Crown Towing, Chuck Armin. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Planning 2, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-26-01-09-00-241 is a conditional rezoning request for PID 185406 or 4904 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia. The applicant is Chuck Armin with Crown Towing, and the property owner is James Isbell Jr. The request is to conditionally rezone from the C3 General Commercial Zoning District to the CD C3 General Commercial Conditional District. The subject site is within a county pocket along Wilkinson Boulevard between Gastonia, Cramerton, McAdamville, and Lowell city limits. The subject parcel is approximately 0.89 acres in size and has frontage along both Wilkinson Boulevard and Vale Street. The site operated as an auto sales business and contains 3 structures. The first structure, located at 4904 Wilkinson, was constructed in 1985 and consists of a 200-square-foot office. The second structure, located at 309 Vale Street, was constructed in 1920 and is 656 square feet and is not currently being used as a single-family dwelling. The third structure is a metal carport constructed in 2005. If approved, the applicant is proposing to continue using the office for administrative purposes and the remaining structures to be used for business-related storage. The site is relatively flat with no flood on site. And currently, the site is on C3 General Commercial, and the surrounding districts include RMF, or Residential Multifamily, and R3. The parcels in white are within adjacent cities' jurisdictions. This slide shows parcels in gray who received notices for tonight's public hearing request. Per the UDO, we notice all property owners within a 200-foot buffer of the subject site, which complies with our conditional rezoning noticing requirements. Notices were mailed on February 11th, and a sign was placed on site the same day. So far, planning staff received one phone call about this case. The caller asked about the process, the public hearing information, and about the proposed use. The caller did not share their opinion on the case. This table shows the information for those who received notices. And this slide shows the proposed site plan for the towing and wrecker service use. The property previously operated as auto sales business. However, it does not meet several of the supplemental regulations required for a towing and wrecker service. Because of this, the applicant is pursuing approval through the conditional rezoning process rather than a special use permit. Given the existing site conditions, the applicant is requesting relief through conditional rezoning to address those regulatory requirements. Key elements of the proposed site plan include the continued use of existing structures, installation of a privacy fence, slats, designated parking areas for employees and customers, and a defined vehicle storage area. Per the submitted site plan, the proposal would utilize the existing site layout and features while accommodating 78 vehicle storage spaces, 14 general parking spaces, and a landscape buffer along Wilkinson Boulevard. The supplemental regulations for a towing and wrecker service are found in Section 8.2.10 of the UDO. Section B requires a special use permit if the site was in 300 feet of a residential zoning district, which applies here due to the R3 properties across Vale Street. Section D also requires a special use permit when vehicle storage exceeds 25 spaces, which this proposal does. Because both thresholds are triggered, the applicant is pursuing approval through conditional rezoning in lieu of a special use permit. Section C requires all vehicles be in delineated parking spaces, and the applicant is proposing 78 spaces for these vehicles. Additional supplemental regulations address screening and the location of the vehicle storage area. The applicant is proposing to utilize the existing fence with black opaque screening and add landscaping along the exterior for additional buffering along Wilkinson. Per the submitted site plan, vehicle storage will be limited to the rear yard of the property. Section 8 states that no disassembly or salvaging of vehicles or parts is permitted on site, and the applicant has confirmed this will not occur. Section I requires no pre-existing principal residential structure be located within 100 feet of the automobile storage area unless it's occupied by the owner of use. While there is a single-family structure on the property, it is not currently being used as a dwelling. So during staff's review of the supplemental regulations, two standards could not be met and are included as requested areas of relief. Section A requires outdoor vehicle storage to be located at least 100 feet from a street right-of-way and 200 feet from a residential zoning district. Due to the existing site conditions, those setbacks cannot be achieved. The applicant is requesting relief to allow a 0-foot setback from the right-of-way and a 15-foot setback from the residential zoning district. Section G requires a minimum of 240 square foot building for an office and restroom. The applicant is requesting to utilize the existing 200 square foot office structure currently on site to satisfy this requirement. So other general ordinance sections we looked at during this review included the definition for the towing use and the underlying zoning district definition for the proposed C3. We also reviewed the conditional district definition and the table of uses in section 7.5. And the final general ordinance section we reviewed relates to the UDO's provisions for nonconforming situations and structures. In this case, several of the existing structures on the property have been in place since before zoning. Because they were established prior to the effective date of the current regulations, they're considered legal nonconformings. As a result, their continued existence is permitted under the ordinance, and this is not a concern with the current request. The applicant intends to maintain the structures as they currently exist for use in connection with his business. So per environmental health, the site is served by a private well and septic system, and Wilkinson Boulevard and Vale Street are both NCDOT roadways. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this request on January 20th and provided the following comment. The Environmental Health Department stated, confirmed that the property is being served by a septic system and potentially a well. The GCL MPO provided their standard letter, which is included in your staff packet. It stated that there are no funded transportation improvement projects in the immediate vicinity, and the CTP shows a widening project for Wilkinson Boulevard and a proposed high-speed light rail along Wilkinson Boulevard, both of which are unfunded at this time. So along with the application, the applicant has provided photos of the subject property. This view is from Wilkinson Boulevard looking onto the corner of Wilkinson and Vale Street. And this photo is looking onto the site from Vale Street at the existing gravel drive and shows two of the existing structures. And this is farther down on Vale Street showing the carport. This is on Vale Street looking at the rear of the property, which is the proposed vehicle storage area. The shot is from Vale Street toward the northern side of the property, looking at the proposed office space. And lastly, this is the corner of the site at the intersection of Vale and Wilkinson from Vale Street. As for public input, this case has been added to the Planning and Zoning Current Pages page on engagegaston.com. As of today, there have been no questions or concerns posted on the project page. So the Planning and Zoning Board heard this request at its February 9th special meeting. At that meeting, the board reviewed a site plan that included small plantings along the Vale Street frontage. However, upon further review, it was determined that those plantings were located within the DOT right-of-way along Vale Street. Because of that, the board made a motion to approve with a condition of approval requiring NCDOT authorization for any plantings within the right-of-way. However, the motion failed and the board failed to recommend approval of the request and the condition of approval by a vote of 2-8. Following that meeting, staff had additional discussions with the applicant. Given the limited space, the fact that the plantings were not required by the ordinance, and the potential for site triangle concerns, the applicant removed the proposed shrubs along Vale Street. The revised site plan before you this evening reflects that update. There are no longer plantings along Vale Street, only a fence is proposed in that area. Buffering is now limited to the Wilkinson Boulevard property line where it is located on the subject property and outside any right-of-way. With these revisions, staff is recommending approval of this request with no conditions at this time. So as for the comprehensive land use plan, the subject parcels are within area for the Garden Gaston, Southeast Gaston Small Area Plan. This property was released from the City of Lowell's E2J in 2021 and does not have an assigned future land use designation. Properties in the vicinity are designated as suburban development, and staff is comfortable applying this designation to the subject property. Suburban development consists of significant single-family residential areas that exist around commercial pockets representing a suburban center. Staff finds the application as presented consistent with the goals and rural community as the suburban development future land use designation, as it will allow for increased commercial opportunities along existing thoroughfares. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation. The applicants are here to answer any questions y'all may have as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments from the applicant at this time who wishes to speak? Any citizens comment at this time? Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Andy Whitley, and I own an LLC that owns the building across the street at 4909 Wilkinson Boulevard. I'm all for free enterprise and expanding and people doing a business and, making money in life. I think it's great. The only concern I have as a company that leases a property to another company that's in retail business there, just to make certain that they're not able to look out and see parked vehicles that have been involved in accidents and stuff that's sitting there. And from what I understand from you, that's not going to happen. So as long as we follow those guidelines, I'm all for it, but that was just the concern I had. I'd like to be on the record.
Thank you, sir. Any other citizens wishing to comment at this time? Please step to the podium, sir.
My name is Chuck Armeen. Just want to give a little bit more detail about what we actually do at Crown Towing, because I think you hear a towing company, you think that we do insurance wrecks or anything like that. That is not what I do. I really only do repossessions, automobile repossessions. I don't do any wrecked vehicles. I work directly with banks and major lien holders. I do not have vehicles in any disrepair. We have zero social media presence. And if I could just read this little tidbit, and it might help a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous, so I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm a collateral repossession company. We do not perform tows or service the general public or police rotation in any manner. We do not do private property impounds for improperly parked vehicles or abandoned vehicles. We solely repossess collateral for banks and lien holders. Repossession companies operate under materially higher standards, including wrongful repossession coverage, specialized on-hook coverage, mandatory law enforcement reporting, system and record compliance, rigorous lot security requirements, comprehensive employee training, and documented policies governing vehicle and personal property handling. Our goal is to bring no attention to ourselves or our business. We must sign strict social media policies. Any website or social media account portraying repossessions in a negative or Hollywood manner are all fake for attention and clicks to pay. We have been growing steadily for the past 8 years, almost 9 now. If we can obtain this property and proceed accordingly, I'll be able to bring 4 to 5 high-paying jobs to the Gaston area. I can estimate 3 recovery agents, roughly $100,000 per person, office staff $50,000 plus, spotter car plus. On top of that, my fuel costs are almost $2,000 a week. My maintenance costs are almost $2,000 a week, and all that would be spent locally. I know that repo companies out in the public get a bad rap, but my goal is to not be noticed, for nobody to know what I do. And so this property is a really good fit for us. The fence is high quality. Where it sits on the commercial road would allow easy access. There's 2 other towing companies in that same area. I don't operate any heavy-duty trucks. They're all like Dodge 45, Dodge 5500, so there's no, stress of pulling across Wilkinson and causing accidents or anything like that. And the only interaction the public has with us is personal property and redemption of vehicles. That's by appointment only. It's one person per 30-minute window. There's never like a crowd. There's never an argument. We don't do stuff like that. That's not how we run our business. So just wanted to add that in there in case to clear it all up. And also there is a letter, I don't know if you have it, but one of the direct neighbors is a finance company, and he did write a letter of recommendation. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Any other citizens wishing to comment on this at this time? Any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, I just actually have a few. I was looking at the map and it said it's designed for 78 vehicles, and I don't see anywhere where there would be a pathway to reach vehicles in the back. I was wondering if that's going to be there, and also is where the vehicle is going to be, is it going to be paved, asphalt, or still dirt or gravel?
So we would, there is a slight driveway that is existing. They would have to extend that to the vehicle storage area in the rear of the property. That was something, if y'all choose to approve it, we would work with them on, because they do have to get their standard zoning permit if y'all do choose to approve it. The ordinance does have specific regulations about surface of parking. I don't think, and off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that is, but we do have those regulations for certain material for parking areas.
And there was one gentleman that was here that was, his concern was being able to see the vehicles from the road. There's going to be privacy fence around where you can't see it.
That's correct, yes. We have screening requirements for this use in the EDO.
And it was voted, actually failed to meet the vote at 2 to 8, correct?
That is correct.
But that anyone, you said those were corrected, those questions?
No, that is correct. That was the correct vote. So the motion was in the affirmative to recommend approval, but the motion failed by a 2 to 8 vote.
Okay. I just want to make that aware.
It's a little unusual, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And before we vote, we'll go back through all that as well. Any other questions from the board? Excuse me, I had one.
Okay.
There was some setback issues that you mentioned earlier. Was that on the building issues, or was that with just fence only?
Just the towing use as a whole has setbacks for the use, and they can't meet them given the existing conditions on site.
Any other questions from the board at this time? All right, just so we'll get through this, if there are no additional comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning and Zoning Board failed to recommend approval by a vote of 2 to 8, and the request was denied. We'll hear a motion. Once the motion is to deny the request. So the ayes would be in the, is that wrong, Donna?
Mr. Chairman, the best way to say it is the planning board had the opportunity to voted on whether to accept the application, and then they said that motion failed. We would have hoped that they would have continued debating and had another motion and adopted it. They didn't. So we've construed that as a denial. So if you want to do that denial, that's one motion, or you can do whatever your pleasure. I would recommend, though, regardless, is to include a reasonableness statement and a consistency statement, because they didn't adopt one at the time.
What we'll do is we'll just take the motion as it's put in here. Do I hear a motion to accept the results of the planning board and zoning board's vote to deny the request?
Well, we're just going to affirm that that's what
That
they
is
voted.
correct. That's
So, I
correct.
mean,
So
we have
there-
no choice.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you have,
But I just want everybody to understand that's what we're after here, so. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Bailey, seconded by, since it's a zoning matter, Mr. Kieger. Any other comments? That's the motion. The motion is to deny. So, all in favor?
Let me ask a question. Are we voting to deny it, or are we voting to approve what the zoning board recommended?
We're going to vote the motion on the table is to deny it. So if it were the ayes, where you're in favor of that, would be to deny. If it were to be the opposed, and they were to be the majority, then it would go to the other way and it would be approved. So it's just kind of opposite of what would happen, because the vote or the motion on the table is to the motion from the results from the Planning and Zoning Board's vote to deny the request. You okay with me? Does everybody understand what we're voting? So, all in favor of denying the request, please raise your hand. All opposed? I don't know where we at. I didn't see. So I know.
3-2.
3-2 to oppose.
What did you do, Belly?
Let's just go in favor. That way I can do it. All in favor to deny. 1, 2, and opposed. So that's 1, 2, so it's 3. It did pass. 3-2, it passed. And David, if you could prepare a consistency statement for that to be put into place, please.
yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
3-2 to deny that the application fails.
The application passes. The motion on the table was to approve the denial, and that was 2, myself and Commissioner Bailey. So do we need to make another motion to approve? Let's just do that. We don't. So now we're going to take a motion to approve, as presented, to approve the applicant's.
So, yeah, I'm fine with taking a secondary vote. Does someone, is there a motion what's the motion on the table right
The
now?
motion now would be to approve as presented from their application, not necessarily from what the planning board's recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Commissioner Kieger, seconded by, we got to have one, I'll say myself, is the second. Any discussion?
And this is to approve,
This
let
is to
them
approve
expand their business.
without the planning board and the zoning boards deny. This is to approve, either approve it or, right. All those in favor? All opposed? It's 4-1, fails. If you'll please provide that to her, please, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir.
The county commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing to amend the resolution 2025-264 to include a Gaston County Level 3 or Level 4 incentive grant and to authorize the 2-year CIP incentive grant for Project DeLorean. Mr. Donnie Hicks, Executive Director of the EDC, will provide a brief overview. Once he's completed his comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've already previously approved this project in a Level 4 grant, but the project has a lot of complexity and time to it. So we worked with the company and their legal team to restructure it where I think it's more attractive for them to be able to make the project work. The project will invest about $53 million for a new manufacturing facility and headquarters. It will not, at this point, anticipate creating new jobs. There's an opportunity in the future for it, but today they're not committing to any new jobs. They'll take the existing machinery and equipment, put that in place, and then 2 years from now, there will be new machinery and equipment that gets put in there. It's not really an expansion of it. It's just going to take that long to build, take all the existing equipment back, recommission all the operations, and then add the new in. So what we're proposing, instead of just a straight Level 4 grant, is the option for a Level 3 or Level 4 grant, whichever is applicable at the time they complete the building and get the certificate of occupancy issued to them. Because their consideration is that they will be a Level 4. I'm not sure under our current valuation that they will hit that number. So we would automatically put them into a position of defaulting on our agreement. The other thing we want to do is offer them a 2-year construction and process grant. We've used this at North Point, and we've used it for other spec buildings. The reason we want to do that is to try to make ourselves competitive. This is a multi-state search. This is ours to lose, and all those jobs go with it. So we've restructured it some to make it more competitive for them, not necessarily at our expense, but to make it where it's structured to work for them. So what we would do is offer a 2-year construction and process grant. That means that during construction, all the money they pay on the building to be built is going to be returned to them at 100%. We've already done this with the corresponding city. When the facility's finished, they would get a Level 3 or 4 grant, whichever is applicable at the time. And then if it's a 3 or a 4, the machinery that comes after that, even though it's going to be potentially 24 months later, would receive whatever grant that they achieved with the existing building when we assessed it. That makes sense. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about that.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions now? If any citizens comment on this matter at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? If there are no additional comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kier, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing to approve Gaston County Level 1 incentive grant to authorize Gaston County to enter into an economic development agreement with Project Explorers. Mr. Donnie Hicks, Executive Director of EDC, will provide a brief overview. Once he has completed his comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an existing company in county. They've been here for a number of years and have a great pattern of expanding their production since they've been here, and they've continued to expand. They've been almost a continuous expansion path for the last decade. They now want to invest additional machinery and equipment and put it in the Gaston County facility. They anticipate spending about $13 million to do that, and so we were proposing to offer them a Level 1 grant.
There are no additional comment, or any citizens' comments on this matter at this time? Any comments from the Board of Commissioners? Seeing none, if there are no additional comments, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Kier, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Gaston County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing to approve Gaston County Level 1 incentive grant to authorize Gaston County to enter into an economic development agreement with Project Helms Deep. Mr. Donnie Hicks, Executive Director, will provide a brief overview. Once he has completed his comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a project that's also already in the county. They're not going to expand. They need a new building or a larger building in which they can move and expand their business. They plan to invest $8 million into the next phase of the project. They're going to buy an existing building that's in severe need of repair. And so this is going to be great because that building will not age well. It already needs some significant improvements, which they're ready to make. They do not have the building purchased until we do this, but they have an option to buy it. After they get in there, and again, recommission all the machinery equipment that gets moved, they would anticipate adding $8 million to it. So the building doesn't get incentivized even with repairs. The existing equipment doesn't get incentivized, but this is an inducement to them to put this machinery and equipment into Gaston County because they do have facilities in other states. And so this would be for equipment to come to the county that's new.
Thank you, sir. Any citizens wishing to comment on this issue at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? There are no additional comments. I will now declare the public hearing closed. Or is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Kieger, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing to authorize Gaston County Level 1 incentive grant to approve the conveyance of approximately 9.3 acres of land, Lot 4, at the Apple Creek Business Park to authorize Gaston County to enter into an economic development agreement with Project Tech. Mr. Donnie Hicks, Executive Director at EDC, provide a brief overview. Once his comments are completed, we will take citizens' comments. Mr. Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we use the overhead? Can we use the projector? Okay, thank you. So this is a European project that wants to come to America and establish a larger footprint, and they're in a technology building, the machining business. We plan to invest about $6.3 million. That will be phase one. There's potentially 2 to 3 phases after that. They'll hire 12 people on an average salary of about $68,000, which is $12,000 above the county average. They've offered our asking price of $75,000 per acre, and they would like to buy what we consider lot 12, lot 9. So this is the overview of Apple Creek. We have G&T at the front, Rankin, Hans Kissel, Hayco, who just opened, Premix, Knoll, and this will be the very back site at NC 275. They would acquire about 9 acres, and that would allow them to eventually have 75,000 square feet. That's attractive to them because they want to start, potentially move another facility here, and that gives them enough room to grow. We've already subdivided this site in the past, and so just for quick reference, this is what the survey looks like of the 9 acres that they want to buy. So we've negotiated with them. They're willing to pay our asking price on it, and they would buy it, and then we would offer them a level 1 incentive grant on the machinery equipment in the building.
Any citizens wishing to comment on this issue at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? I will now declare the public hearing closed on this issue, and I'll ask for a motion to approve. Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The next item is approval of the business agenda. Are there any revisions to the business agenda with items needing to be pulled? Mr. Cloninger.
I would like to pull item B, please.
V is in
B.
Victor.
B.
B is in boy.
Boyd. Mhm.
I want to pull, and this will be separate, I want to pull items U, T, A on the non-consent. And V. So on the consent agenda, we'll just do that because the A is going to come back later. U, T, A, and V. U, T, A, and V to be pulled. Yes. So you have that, Donna? Okay. U, T, A, and V. V is in Victor. B is being pulled by Commissioner Cloninger. UT, A, and V will be tabled until the next meeting. That's what we're trying to get, so it'll be separate. But just so you have that. You have that? That is correct. and B as well. From, so you have that down?
UTVA.
A lot, the whole alphabet. So, A, UTA, V from me, and those were all gonna be, those will be the ones we're gonna table. Is that A, is that right? I lost my page, that's why.
Are you referring to the non-consent in A?
Non-consent for A, but we'll come back to that because it'll be on the non-consent. Just trying to get them all together, so it'll be UT and V and B on the non-consent. UT, V, and B. Everybody got that? All right. I wanted to point out that a minor revision for item M, the total amount of the appropriation was reduced by $268 and an account number was revised on item M. Do I hear a motion to approve the business agenda with items U, T, V, and B pulled from the consent agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Okay, keep those. You're provided with the draft minutes for the regular meeting of December 9, 2025, organizational meeting of December 9, 2025. Are there any revisions? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is citizens' recognition. Our first item, a portion of the board's agenda is set aside for the purpose of allowing citizens the opportunity to offer comments and suggestions. The comment period is not intended to require the commission or staff to provide a response. Questions requiring a response shall be answered as soon as possible through the county manager's office. Citizens' recognition tonight is limited to 3 minutes. Comments will be, as I call your name, please step to the podium and state your name for the address. The first citizen to speak tonight is Joshua Brown.
Joshua Brown, 1149 Knowles Drive, Mount Holly, North Carolina, 28120. Mr. Chairman and other county commissioners, I've spoke at every meeting except for one since July, speaking on county fire departments and topics of leadership, accountability, ISO, and what manpower is to the fire service. I want to expand on ISO. 3 of our unincorporated fire departments within the last year have lowered their ISO rating from a 5 to a 4 and to a 3. Once you get below a 5, you start putting savings to businesses. 10 to a 5 has savings to homeowners. So we're doing that. On average, for a person that has a residence in an ISO Class 5, for a $250,000 home value, they're roughly saving $976 a year. With a home value of $350,000, they're saving $1,380. If a home value is of $500,000, their savings are $2,051 in a year. And I've emailed you all that information sheet to have record of that and knowledge. With these departments of the cost savings, we're trying to extend the services that we can provide to them. Yes, we are a cost, but we're doing things that cut down and save them money to where when they have a fire at their business, they know that they're going to have a fire department capable of responding to do that. But we're starting to hit that threshold. If you'll look at that sheet, some of the exceptions that consider some of the biggest percentages, number 1 is 35%, which is hydrants. Majority of our unincorporated fire departments have no fire hydrants. So the next biggest topic percentage that is on there is our personnel at 15%. Those are the things that the fire service is looking at across the state of how many people are we putting on the fire scene. This is one of the biggest reasons why I'm saying that personnel and manpower matter for the Gaston County Fire Departments and the fire service we provide and want to continue to provide. North Carolina OSCFM, the State Fire Marshal's Office, published an article this week for their 2025 fire fatality reports. Who is number 1 in the state of North Carolina for fire fatalities in 2025? Gaston County, with 9 fire fatality deaths. 65 and older is the highest. In Gaston County, 16.5% of the citizens are 65 and older. We, right now, hold the highest number 1 rank of the state for people 65 and older to possibly die in a structure fire that's going to happen in this county. It's a problem. We know that. And to be able to do something about that, we need the manpower. We need the things that we're trying to present with these things and that we've brought forth. We're hitting that limit of what our fire tax rate is, that we're going to have to seriously consider some improvements of those things so we can continue to provide good service to the people that they need. In that report that was given at the beginning of the meeting, overages on service charges of things like that, some of those things, we can improve the fire service. I think some of the things that we've gotten to help us kind of view our data and analysis of everything, we can see that we can get some good quality gains with minimal amounts of increases, and it's something to seriously consider. Thank you.
Josh, I want to say thank you for your commitment. You told us you was going to come to every one, you've been here, so appreciate it.
home with 3 kids.
Well, we'll try to keep you busy. The next item on the agenda is, do I hear approval of the consent agenda? Sorry, approval of the consent agenda with items being pulled, U, T, V, and B. Do I hear a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Bailey, seconded by Commissioner Coniger. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you. All right. The non-consent agenda, I would like to table this because we need more information. So I'm going to push to table this and have it read in the work session so we can work on this, because this is something we've been dealing with and we don't know a lot about it. So I'd like to have the diligence of tabling this. Do I have a motion to table? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by myself because I was the one that started that. And any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Items pulled from the consent agenda, we'll start with items U, T, and V to be tabled to the next voting session, which is in March, the voting meeting in March. 20th, we'll figure that. 24th, correct. All right, do I have a motion to table those three together? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous to table those. Now, the next item is item B, Ms. Kathy Cloninger.
Okay, this relates to funds that are going to be given to Gaston County Schools, and I would like for our county manager to explain all of this so our citizens know what all of this is about.
Absolutely, and I won't go into the details of the budget shortfalls with the schools, and Morgan's here to do that if necessary, but this is an operating shortfall that they've experienced, mainly due to lack of state funding as it relates to low wealth funds and the state not passing a budget yet. So we were able to find a practical solution to reallocate some capital funds that had already been appropriated to the school system and reallocate those from the capital account to the general fund for them to use for operating purposes. This is not an additional appropriation of funds. It is no new money. It's existing money that's already been approved and budgeted for, and it's just reallocating that to a different bucket.
Thank you. And Morgan, is there anything that you would like to add to that? You can come forward.
Please, sir.
Thank you very much.
While you're coming, I want to add to that County Manager Roten and I met with Morgan over this several times, and I want to say thank you for your patience with us, Morgan, on trying to find solutions. You guys have been admirable in trying to do that. You guys working together with the County Manager's office has been really good. So if you'd like to add anything, please go ahead, sir.
Yes, it would certainly help us with our operating expense for capital. As you know, you all have been very gracious with our capital campaign and bonds for building schools. We have a shortfall in funding due to many reasons, paying the operations. Think contracts for contracted employees that mow the yards and for plumbers and that operation side of it. This would not alleviate that problem with shortfall we have right now, but it would certainly help us short-term pay those bills and work through that process. So the school system, my Board of Education would certainly appreciate you all supporting that. And I do want to thank Matt and Chairman Brown for working with us as well.
And I think it's great to add, these are state funds, and obviously you talked about them not knowing that we were going to cut it off in the middle of the year as well, was one of the issues that the state has done. People talked about the low wealth and how that went on. We're inclined to lower taxes. When the counties around us, I think, come back to normal, you'll see a lot of that difference. But I want to thank you for explaining that that what's happening with you guys over there, because it is a good working relationship that you guys have put together, so thank you. Commissioner, County Manager Matt.
Yeah, I would just like to thank our finance and budget staff for all their hard work on this, because we wouldn't have been able to identify this without their work, so I want them to have the credit for that. Appreciate it.
Y'all can stand up if you want. Show us who the budget staff is. Come on, Kyle. Commissioner Hovis.
The manager's exactly correct. There was a lot of scrubbing of budgets and looking at old stuff, turning over some rocks, finding 10,000 here, 50,000 there, 120 there on projects that we pretty much closed out. These are still left in those little encumbered accounts, and this gave us a good time to do some cleaning, and at the same time, you're probably kind of glad it was hanging around. So it became low-lying fruit for you in your current dilemma. And we do appreciate the relationship that this board and the past boards have been able to create with the Board of Education. And I still encourage you to find ways to create some land banking. I think you've already encumbered all of the $110 million we gave you in the last budget. I was hoping before I left to give you some additional capital funds, but without property, I don't know why you need capital, because you definitely need some property to do that.
We've earmarked some of that. We have budgeted some of that appropriations from bonds for land banking, and we have provided a list of opportunities as well to.
Well, the list that I received from my staff that showed that 110 million, it was allocated, and it showed no dollars for land banking. So I will contact you personally, and we will look at that. Thank you,
Sounds
sir.
good. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Cloninger.
I also would like to thank you, because I think it's very important to show that we are able to have that partnership and that we can work together for the common good of all. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank Blair for always harassing me about it. The next item on the agenda is appointments. Commissioner Bailey.
None at this time, sir.
Commissioner Cloninger.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh. I thought we passed that. We'll make a vote on, to approve the funding for the school system. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I think I already, did I not make a motion? Well, this is my plan to, I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Cloninger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Cloninger.
I have a reappointment for Mr. Reggie Horton for the Animal Care and Enforcement Advisory Board.
Second. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Hovis.
Mr. Chair, I have none tonight.
Commissioner Kieger.
None tonight.
I'm doing one for Commissioner Sheehan, was reappointment to the Local Emergency Planning Commission, reappointment requested by Mr. Matthew Young.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. I have three myself. Animal Care and Enforcement, reappointment by Ms. Debbie Clay. Local Emergency Planning Committee, application received by Robert Shreen. And Workforce Development, application received by Chad Simmons.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. The next one, full board, I have two appointments to the Fireman's Relief Trust Fund, and those come in the way of Mr. Stephen Johnson, reappointment, and replacement with Mr. Greg Pewitt.
Second or motion, whichever you need.
And it's second by Commissioner Hovis, second by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Reports, Commissioner Bailey.
None at this time, sir.
Commissioner Cloninger. Commissioner Hovis.
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kieger.
No, sir.
None from myself. Since we missed it last time, Matthew?
Thank you. I just want to make a comment in reference to the variances in the budget. So the budget, or the audit that was presented tonight, was from a budget that was adopted almost 2 years ago. So you did see a positive variance, $30 million, which is good, better than the other way. But the budget that we adopted last year, we did make $30 million in reductions. So I would not expect that the audit that you get this time next year, that you see that same type of variances. Obviously, we do want to see positive variances. We don't budget to come back to you and say, hey, we spent more than we brought in. I think I'd be looking for a job if that was the case. But we would expect tighter, because we did get tighter on the budget this year, and we're continuing that effort into the budget we're adopting, or going to adopt this year as well.
County Attorney report.
Nothing for me, Mr. Chairman.
I also wanted to say something. I want to give us a little kudos for our staff that we had left. Steve Eaton became the interim manager at Onslow County, so everybody gets to see that, who just left us to go down to be the assistant manager, just became the interim manager. Other matters, are there any other matters need to come before the board at this time? Commissioner Cloninger.
Okay, I would like the board to consider a revision to the agenda that all of our capital projects be placed in a separate section of the agenda, which would separate it from the non-consent and the consent, and maybe that we can discuss that at our upcoming work session when we discuss procedures and ethics. But I would like to see that happen.
If you'll look into that for Commissioner Cloninger, I think the board would look into how we put that onto the next meeting as well, something we could discuss.
Yes, sir.
Anything else on the other matters? Since nothing else matters, this concludes our meeting for tonight. Our next work session is Tuesday, March 10th, here in the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum at 6 p.m. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please remit those to Ms. Donna S. Buff at 704-866-3196. Good night, Bob.